Hello, my people. We're here for week 10 of our main Bible reading plan. We're going through Psalms 27 to 29, the end of Deuteronomy from 30 to 34, and the whole book of Joshua. The book of Deuteronomy ends with another recount of God's faithfulness towards the people, keeping them safe through the journey, the promised land, and how they're envisioning it and are ready to start conquering it, to start getting into the promised land. That's what the book of Joshua is all about. And this is how the book ends. And Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands on him. And the people of Israel obeyed him and did as the Lord had commanded Moses. And there has not arisen a prophet since in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, none like him for all the signs and the wonders that the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and all his land, and for all the mighty power and all the great deeds of terror that Moses did in the sight of all Israel. And now we get to the book of Joshua. This book gives us the account of how God fulfilled his promise to Israel, giving them the promised land. It also sets the stage for the period of the judges coming right after. So chapter 1 opens with a reminder of what happened at the end of the book of Deuteronomy. Joshua is appointed as the leader by Moses. He's blessed by them and is presented to Israel as the leader God had appointed. Then there's the account of the miraculous fall of Jericho after the spies led by Joshua had brought in reports about the land. God had instructed them how to proceed, and the city fell because of God's provision. So God gave them the possession of that land. After many battles and victories, the west side of the Jordan River had been conquered. The tribes, they sat down and they divided the land amongst them, and those who were assigned the east side of the river were released to go. Now that everything had been conquered, they were released to go and occupy their lands. Now there's a super beautiful account. Once again, just like Moses had done, Joshua is prepared to release the people from his leadership. After all, the promised land had been conquered. Everything was set. Each tribe was supposed to go to their land and occupy it and fruitify in it. Joshua, exactly like Moses had done before, accounts of God's faithfulness. And once again, he tells a story of how God has been protecting the people and walking with the people throughout all that journey. And the journey had finally come to an end. He goes exactly like Moses again and instructs them to respect the covenant, to keep the covenant, and to respect the Lord's commandments, and to obey them, and to remain faithful. And he reminded them also of the consequences of not obeying God's commandments and keeping the covenant. Now, at the very end of the book, it talks about Joshua's death and burial, of course, but one of the most famous passages is right here in the middle of chapter 24. So Joshua gathered the people around him, and they're again talking about everything that had happened already and how God had been faithful. And the people have a choice to make now. They have their lands, the land that were promised to their fathers, and God had been faithful to deliver what he had promised. So now Joshua is addressing the people, and this is what he says. Now therefore fear the Lord and serve him sincerely and in faithfulness. Put away the gods that your fathers served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. And if it is evil in your eyes to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your fathers served in the regions beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And the narrative continues, showing that the people said, no, we will serve the Lord, absolutely. But there's some hints that it's not going to happen, that the people are going to break the covenant. And it sets the stage for the time of Judges coming up. But we have hints that the story is going to have different unfoldings in the times to come. And as we'll see next week, the book of Judges rewinds a little bit and recounts a portion of the conquering of the land of Canaan, the death of Joshua, and right here in chapter 2, the title here says, Israel's disobedience. Well, more to come next week. See you then.